Hello everyone, welcome back. We are going to dive right in here to another more unique archetype, available to us here in Disney Lorcana. In the first couple of weeks, we have jump right into it. An amethyst, emerald, sorry, not amber, emerald. I'm gonna get those right eventually. Kind of mid-range deck there, kind of not too far to the ground, trying to be aggressive, not too late in the game, trying to win something super long. Featuring a lot of discard spells, we have You Have Forgotten Me and Sudden Chill being ways to kind of strip cards out of your opponent's hand. I've noticed a lot of people have been a little bit greedy with some of the more heavier kind of control decks that have cards that are uninkable and really high cost. So this are ways to kind of deal with them without them ever kind of getting into play. But let's go through the rest of the deck here. We do have the Stitch package. I'm kind of trying to coin the Stitch package where if you have all three Stitches, you have to name the deck blue or emerald or amber punch buggy, because blue punch buggy, no punchbacks from Lilo and Stitch. So we're going with emerald punch buggy for this deck's name here. But to begin the curve here, we have Stitch, of course, on one of our only one drops there. Simba, good bodyguard to defend. Cards like Flynn, who lures, quests for a good amount of lore early on, as well as if they ever try to trade into it, they further play into your discard plan of losing cards, which is pretty good. Megara, which I think is a very good card. It helps you trade up, meaning it makes some of your smaller characters trade up with larger characters by giving them +2 strength for the turn. We do have a small kind of song package with Ariel. We have Be Our Guest, Sudden Chill, and Mother's Knows Best to really kind of give a little bit of an advantage there. You don't really have too many ways to draw cards in these two colors other than Ariel, and of course we'll get to Rapunzel in a moment, but that's a small little package there to help power out some of the more expensive, some of the early game cards there to try to help dig for them and have them be more available to us in the earlier games. Jasper, I think, is one of the more underrated cards in the game right now. 3 cost, 2/4 is decent stats, and being able to kind of shut out something really big from questing that might have a quest triggered ability like a Moana really lets you kind of hammer away at certain types of decks and stops them from getting too far ahead. Rapunzel, I think, is probably the best card in the game or close to it. Being able to heal up a character that's traded into something as well as drawing cards, equal to how much damage has been removed. This is the only card I think that could be a foil version of this over like $100 in the game, something, because it's just such a powerful effect. I believe it's the best card in the game to be playing, and it's an amber. Amber is it's a very good color there. Sort of in response to a lot of the amethyst ruby kind of go big decks that have Maleficent at the top end and other things to just kind of banishing flame, whatever it is, to destroy a creature, destroy a character. Cusco, having wards so they can't choose except to challenge. Good way to make sure that they never get to actually target it with one of those effects there, including Hades. Can't get rid of it that way. And if they ever actually do kill it through combat, whatever they killed it with combat actually gets killed anyway. So a good way to kind of get a lot of lore in the mid game there to close the game out, along with some of our other heavier hitters. Stitch, Rockstar, kind of pairing with the not too many smaller characters. We have 16 characters to get triggers off of, which is fine. That's plenty. You don't need to make a heavy one-drop deck. You can, like if you have 30 cards that cost 1 or 2, and that's what you want to do with your deck, that's fine. But you don't need that to play this kind of card. It's just a good card on its own. John Silver, there's 3 copies of. I think Mother Gothel is the better 6 cost card, letting them kind of shutting off your opponent's questing. John Silver does the same thing, but 6 points of health is just a big deal, and they both kind of do a similar functionality there, and I think I favor Mother Gothel a little bit. Topping off the curve here, we have Stitch, Carefree Surfer. You're going to play to the board a lot, have a lot of things stick around and play, pick your moments with questing sometimes there, and having a late game card that kind of just gives you something to do when you're getting Hades or Let It Go and getting extra ink that you might not otherwise have is just a good resource to be able to play into the late game if you need to. And like I said, You Have Forgotten Me, each opponent discards 2, good way to have people who are being a little bit greedy, having to have some cards stuck in their hand late in the game and playing out other resources trying to get to them. You can just tag both those cards there, especially if they've traded it into a Flynn Rider or something like that earlier on. Be Our Guest, kind of just a song, a filler card to hit off Ariel, Sudden Chill. You can tag like a Whole New World as their last card. They're trying to play out their whole hand to then Whole New World into the next turn to reset everything. And 2 copies of Mother Knows Best. I'm not certain about this card. It is uninkable, but we are only at 4 uninkables before I added this card. It's kind of the last 2 cards in the deck that I thought it was okay to play. It's an extra song, which there's not too many songs for able to find right now overall in the game, and this one's fine. It gives you a good amount of tempo to kind of get back into the game by being able to, if you're going first, you get to go Ariel, find something, maybe even Mother Knows Best. They play something out, and then you get to develop, maybe a Stitch shift, and also use Aerial Sing and return their card to their hand. So getting ahead on the board that way is pretty nice. You can also return your own cards, which does come up, I'd imagine. Being able to return Rapunzel to your hand, using it to sing Mother's Knows Best out and then return it to your hand and then use it again is another play that you can certainly make. Same thing with the Stitch Carefree Surfer and something that just has some damage on it, like a Cusco that you don't want to get banished in combat. You want to quest again with it, you can reset it. So a lot of utility there, but let's stop talking here and kind of just jump into the games. Here we go. Green Punch Buggy, Emerald Punch Buggy, but green's the color. All right. Just playing some games here again on the ladder, as I think it's called most frequently, the ladder. When you try to grind up the ranking systems. I haven't paid too much attention to the systems there, and I haven't played as much online as I would have otherwise liked. But what can you do? So this hand, I like a lot of what's going on here. I like the Simba and Jasper essentially. I think I'm going to keep those and replace the rest. Going first, I don't have to dig heavily for a Stitch on one, but I could. I actually think I'm using it as ink here, just because I want to play both these Flynns out. Just to be on going first, having them have to trade into something like this is pretty nice. And when you can use Jasper to kind of tag whatever else they might have played, something with 3 health, nice way to kind of get ahead. All right, so they're showing us Sapphire there, so they could be Sapphire Ruby, they could be Sapphire something, but I think I'm going to just get rid of the Meg here, although it does pair nicely with Jasper. I'm going to just still use it here to ink out a Flynn. This Mother's Knows Best might not be the greatest card in this matchup there against a more ramp strategy deck. It's more of someone else trying to go toe-to-toe with you. Okay, so they're Sapphire Amethyst, or Sapphire, I can't even think right now. Amber, Sapphire Amber, yes. Well, there's a Stitch to kind of punish us for inking that out, but we get to quest for 2, which is nice. And I think the plan here is I could develop something on curve like Jasper. I might as well play another Flynn out, though. They're not showing a way to challenge this Flynn. Getting ahead pretty quickly on lore is nice. I might be inking the Stitch here, because I inked my earlier Stitch. Maybe I was supposed to get rid of a Jasper, but I like being able to go... Well, my curve looks really bad if I don't play a 3 here, and I get to play both 2s next turn. So let's actually just do this. Next turn we can use the Jasper to either quest and prevent something from questing on their side, or we can use it to sing Mother's Knows Best and play two characters out to kind of get really far ahead. We can play a more aggressive role here with this deck, especially against a deck like Sapphire Amber, which doesn't have too much removal except for Mother's Knows, or except for Let It Go, and Hades. Those are the 2 cards that could really play there. But all right, let's ink the Jasper. Drawing the other Mother's Knows Best is kind of rough here because I'm going to play both these out here, and if I draw a Cusco or another 5-cost card, I can't play it, which is a little unfortunate. But I think it's still just too good not to play these both out. We'll bodyguard. I don't see a reason not to bodyguard here. Sometimes you want to consider what they're going to be doing. Like if they were steel, I might not have bodyguarded because then they could use Gravitala to hit this for 2 and then play a grab your sword to take care of all three of these. But no such luck here for them here. So it's awkward. I really want to, if I hit something like this, it'd be great, but I only have 8 hits left in the deck to hit, and I really want to get another ink out as quick as I can just to make sure I can play my Cuscos. So I think I'm just going to do this. I'm going to quest with everyone. I'm going to Mother's Knows Best the Pumbaa back to their hand. Kind of getting really far ahead really quick. So we're playing a more aggressive strategy here. Oh, they just packed it in. That Mother's Knows Best was just too much tempo for them to come back. They probably weren't going to be able to answer any of my characters next turn. So me just delaying them by a full turn on being able to answer anything, just going to let me get too much lower to really win, or for them to come back in any real meaningful way. So that's just that. Sometimes you play the aggressive deck. We're not aiming to be too aggressive, but Flynn, two lore on each quest is pretty nice. We're going second here, so I kind of want to dig a little bit for a Stitch to play to the board, or a Simba. But I kind of like the aerial sudden chill. I'm probably going to keep this as an ink, so I might want to get rid of it then to have more hits on my deck for aerial. Okay. We found a stitch, but not the right stitch. Darn. All right, Maleficent. So something that's going to cost a lot. All right, Sergeant Tibbs. See, if I'm in their position going first, I don't play the Tibbs out because I just don't feel like you're needing to be that proactive in decks that you're trying to get to Maleficent. I could be mistaking how their deck's trying to play out, but who knows? Let's get rid of the biggest stitch here. Bye, friend. Okay, so they are playing Ruby, Amethyst, and again, they're playing all their 1-cost cards, which means my discard spells are going to be even better. Yeah. We're going to ink this, be our guest. We're not going to really use it too much here. And we'll play Flynn out. So yeah, they've played 2 cards to the board, which I'm pretty sure they're going to hope they had as ink later in the game once they kind of get going. Again, Maui, sure. See, cards they don't have to deal with now because they have these 2/2s in play, and while that's fine and all, it's not really helping them progress their primary game plan. Sure. All right, another stitch down. Now I can play Jasper or I can play Ariel. I think I'm going to play Jasper, and I'm just going to pass here. I don't really want them to... Well, I guess no. Hold on. Let me think. So if I pass here, there's a chance they just don't quest with anything here. But if I quest with Flynn, I get a card out of their hand, which is good. And I also make sure that one of their things is exerted so that I can play Rapunzel out next turn. So I think I am going to quest here, even though it's kind of throwing my Flynn away for not much. It's allowing me to deprive them of a lore, because they're going to use it to challenge instead. Get 2 lore myself, as well as making sure I can draw 2 cards with Jasper off the Rapunzel. So that's my logic on exerting there. So they're choosing something. Okay. All right, they chose to discard. Okay, that's what they're choosing. Sure. And now if they quest with anything else, which I didn't know if they would or not, they are. Then I get to have a free Tibbs with damage on it, which is nice. Zeus. Okay. That one's pretty big. Let's ink this Ariel. So we're going to challenge Maleficent. We want to challenge the bigger one, not the other Tibbs, because this can sing a bit better. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to... I guess I don't get to choose. Never mind. I thought for some reason I'd be able to have the ability. I was going to say if for some reason I quested instead, I was going to choose not Zeus as the target, because this is most likely going to trade into here since it won't die, where the Tibbs would. But let's just Rapunzel out here, draw 2 cards. Again, just creating a 2 quest body that lets you draw a couple cards is kind of great. And Meg working with Rapunzel really well, just giving it 2 extra strength on that 5 willpower character. Because on the face value, it doesn't look like I can get rid of this here, but Meg certainly lets me get in there with that. This turn's looking like a Meg plus maybe an Ariel or a Simba. All right, ooh, we're getting close to hitting their whole hand there. It's just if I want to develop a Simba or an Ariel. I think I want to do an Ariel just because there's the chance I get an extra card out of it. I don't think the bodyguard's too relevant. Well, so yeah, it's not too relevant because they get to trade this in. I was thinking if I bodyguarded, they'd have to trade 2 things in after I attack here with the Meg, but it doesn't really work out for me that way because they can still do the same thing with just getting rid of Rapunzel. So I do this before I play an ink from my hand. All right, so we hit. All right, change the number to order. Draw, okay. Confirm. What? I don't think I did that right. That's unfortunate. I guess I misclicked that. I'm not actually sure how to use this effect or the develop your brain, so that's a problem. You figure it out for the next game happens, or if we get a chance to do it again, it doesn't matter. But I should have an extra card in my hand for that. not the most intuitive, that sequence there, but yeah. So if this was a bodyguarded character, they could trade Tibbs, the one that has a point, or and another one into it, and then have free reign to kind of hit with this. That doesn't really kill it, but it's not too relevant. But now they'd have to hit with everything to get rid of this, and I'm kind of okay with that. Oh, okay, so here's a really good opportunity we're going to take. They might quest here. I don't think they should. Okay. I think I'm going to take this chance to just kill this Zeus without losing anything. And let's get rid of the Flynn here, because not having any... Well, I'm just going to play a bunch of 6s the next couple turns. So a little bit awkward here, because I really want to play a 6-cost card here, but they have 2 cards exactly, and I really want to hit those out of their hand. It stops them from playing anything that costs 6 in their deck. Maybe I take a turn to develop. I could regret it, but I think I'm supposed to play... No, I'm going to just make them discard. That's fine. Maybe I should have held the Flynn for that reason. It was a Elsa and a Be Prepared. They discarded the first Be Prepared to the Flynn trigger, so I got rid of those 2 cards. Pretty big deal. Oh, well, that's good. I'm happy that they're trading in there. If I didn't, if I decided to place John on silver, I was going to force the Tibbs to attack, not the Maleficent. In case they drew the friends on the other side, it would let them... friends on the other side would allow them to use it to sing, which I didn't want to have happen. With a 1-cost card, they couldn't. I think I'm going to play this out here, the silver John Silver, and play Stitch and Stitch and exert it. Just draw a card that way. Ooh. They're likely to trade off with this character, I believe. But if they don't, I get to draw a couple cards. Dragonfire off the top. That's a little unfortunate, but fine. Alright, that's okay with me too. Now I have to have 2 characters in place, so this isn't going to come down right away, but it's getting close. Yeah, I think I would have something in play that doesn't get killed immediately, so let's just play this Cusco out, and 3-1 on the racing time frame is quite nice, and we're ahead on ink as well. One thing I don't like about most other colors other than steel is that we don't have ways to kill items, so their magic mirror would be a little bit difficult right now. Right, let's quest and play a Gothel out. I could have held the Gothel because I could have held off on questing here just to ensure that a Maui doesn't really ruin my day with not being able to draw cards off Stitch, but there's inking that, sure. But I think that it's worth the opportunity not to do that, so let's just play this and draw a couple cards. Okay. I'm going to ink one more time, and I think I'm not going to ink again this game. I could have held that then if that's the case. All right, now we have a good amount of lore going. We have 7, so we're winning the game in 2 turns. That's why I probably shouldn't have done it, because I don't think I'm going to be able to play everything out here, because their best way back into the game is to be prepared. I might have held that card, because now any card off the top, say a 1-cost unit, would let them would have let them play that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to quest, and quest. I'm actually going to return Stitch to my hand. And I'm going to play out, I think, the other 2 characters, the smaller ones. I think. It seems fine to me. So let's play this one as a bodyguard so that a Maui can't tag any of these things. And the reason we're doing that is because if they drop Be Prepared, this is a really good card to use to refill. Granted, I'd have to play 2 more characters out first, but maybe I should have not played out the Jasper then. Magic Mirror, a little late to the party. Good card, but not quite. Nice. All right. See, again, those early turns there where they had at the end of the game there, that Be Prepared and that Elsa 8-cost one, those 2 Tibbs that they played so early didn't really do too much. They ate a Flynn and made them discard a card by attacking into the Flynn, and then they traded with some cards that really didn't matter or weren't pressuring them. So while they did do something, I don't really believe that they were right to play out early, especially with him going first. But who knows? Again, we're still really early on in the game. We don't have all the details of how the play pattern should work, how you should be like actually playing against certain types of decks, and they don't know what I'm playing. So maybe certain decks you definitely want to play those out. But I think going first, you can hold off you to turn 2. But for now, that's just my thought on that game. We're gonna play another one here, get things going. I think I should move this down just a little bit, if I can. I think I'm just talking. My mouth is getting cut off. Who knows? Worthy opponent. We'll see. We'll see about that. But no, thanks again, everyone, for hanging out here. Hope you're enjoying this deck. It's nice being able to strip some cards out of their hand, and some of the emerald cards there are definitely nice. And this one's definitely gotta get rid of some of these cards. I think I'm gonna get rid of the John Silver, the Sudden Chills. Again, I want to have the most amount of songs on my deck for AO to hit, even though I can't quite figure out how to use it yet. But we're gonna go with this for now. Looking for a Stitch 1, and okay, well, we drew 2 songs to go with our Ariel, which is in our hand, but okay, so an Amber deck. All right, I'm just gonna get rid of one of these Be Our Guests. Okay, they're in the discard strat 2. Gotta be careful of that. All right, so let's play Mother Gothel, I believe, and develop a Flynn. There's a chance I might have wanted to use Be Our Guest there as an ink, but it doesn't really matter. At least in the game, they're probably both going to be ink at some point. Ooh, okay, Amber Sapphire. Sure. Really going off. Okay. I'm hoping this... We're going to quest here for sure. They're going to be out of cards in a minute. Hoping this You Have Forgotten Me tags both the last cards in their hands. Let's ink the Be Our Guest. And I think I'm going to play out the... We'll play out the Ariel. For when I initially saw the set... Okay. So how do I select the card? It says draw. Oh, draw. Okay, I have to click the draw button at the top. Okay, confirm. All right, we figured it out. Initially, I thought this was a song, and I thought it'd be really, really good. But I just didn't think about it. But there's no song in the movie with that part, is there? I don't think so. They're discarding a card to kill that. That's fine with me. All right, so just inking that out. Okay. Maximus, all right. He's bodyguarding up. That's a little rough, but okay. So this is not really working how I want it to too much, but I think that's fine. We're going to ink this, and I'm going to... I think I'm going to use Meg to have this send into here. It's really bad against Rapunzel off the top, but that's the only card it's not good against. Because I got to get rid of this Maximus pretty quickly here. And I know it's over the course of 2 turns, and it's a little sloppy, but that's fine. What are they discarding? It was a Stitch. Ooh, that would have been bad for me. Drawing 2 off the top would have been nice for them. This might disincentivize them to quest with this right now, because at some point they can use its support function, and I obviously haven't shown a way in these 2 colors to deal 1 point of damage. So this is pretty good just to sit there. They're just inking my... Okay. It's fine with me. This is going to set up really nicely. I'm going to play a Stitch out here. And then the following turn, I'm going to be able to hit their Maximus and then heal it up, which is going to be a very nice amount. Because the amount of lore they're playing isn't really threatening quite yet. Alright. Let's see what's going on here. The only bad thing was to be another Let It Go. That's why I think they should have held off on that. I get they wanted to do this here, but they could have just not quested for 1. If it was 2, I might have gotten it, but for 1, not so much. All right. Ooh, that's a good one too. Yeah, I think that's going to be my turn. So let's hit here. Again, my Stitch doesn't die. Let's I don't want them to concede. I think they might concede to the Rapunzel is why. I'm going to just see what they had in their hand that they were holding. They had drew a Hades. So let's heal up here. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to hold the sudden chill in case they draw a 7-drop, but that was enough for them there. Okay, cool. So a nice 3-0 here. Nice little fun set of games. Let me take a look here. But yeah, that was, as I would call it, Green Punch Buggy or Emerald Punch Buggy, whatever you want to call it. A bunch of copies of Stitch there to kind of play to the mid and early games there. Discard spells really showing their worth. As you can see, people trying to play these 7-cost and 8-cost cards that are not inkable. Hades being one. Stitch 7 they were playing. It was inkable, but they didn't quite get there. Be Prepared and Elsa. Those things are all so high cost, but you certainly, if they get to that point of the game, are very powerful. Just getting there, that can be a problem when you're trying to play out your resources. Again, resource management is going to be the number one thing that people struggle with early in this game, coming from other card games, is knowing when to ink and when not to ink. And being going first and going second is a huge difference on that inflection point of what you have to deploy to the board and what you don't. So if you haven't seen kind of how I've gone about doing that, watch some of the earlier videos. You'll see some of the games where I have 1-cost cards like a Captain Hook or a Flounder effect type thing, where I just don't play it on turn 1 if I'm going first, because I'm not going to need that effect. My deck is not built to go aggressive. I'm playing the slower decks. So to do that, I'm going to need all my resources, and they're only really there to help check some of the other aggressive decks. And I haven't seen too many of those, playing on this client here. There hasn't been that many of them. Again, I don't have the link for the client. It's going to help put on my computer from someone else, unfortunately, but hopefully I'll find that soon and can give like a link or a tutorial for that. But no, this is a lot of fun. Sweet little, deck there. Cusco, I think, showed its worth in one of the games there, kind of going through and questing for a bunch really early, being able to dodge some of the removal spells that some of these Ruby decks are really relying on, as well as being a singular threat that they can't really be prepared into. And if they do find something to check it through a combat, through a challenge, it just gets rid of it anyway. So it's really good there, kind of showing its value. And most of our deck being inkable, except for the Mother's Knows Best and Cusco, is a nice little touch going on. I'm glad I figured out how to work Ariel, and it did work those 2 times. I did hit off them. You won't always hit with this low of song count. I think we're going to need a couple more sets for the song count to really be where it needs to be for Ariel to be spectacular, but eventually it's going to be one of the best cards in the game, I'm sure. Having a whole toolbox, especially of the 5-cost ones that you get to cheat out that aren't Whole New World or Grab Your Sword, definitely going to be a card to look out for. And Meg, as you saw, giving extra strength to kind of help challenge and finish off certain cards. Huge role player. It's not going to come up all the time. You're mostly going to ink it, I'd imagine, but it's definitely, when it shows its worth, it certainly is great, especially with the higher willpower cards like Rapunzel and Jasper, and even Mother Gothel getting up to 5 strength, or Stitch getting up to 6 to beat like a Hades that's already in play. All very relevant. But I did like the discard spells. They took out some of the key cards we couldn't deal with otherwise, and we were able to race through otherwise. But thanks again, everyone. If you haven't already, like or subscribe to the channel if you want to. I'm here. I'm going to be posting more videos on the regular, probably 4 to 5 a week, just playing through a bunch of different color combinations and trying to get through all of them before the set releases on, I believe, the 18th. So we got a week away. But thanks again, everyone. See you next time.